But in lighter news, one of our favorites, Jeremy Renner, announced that he is at home recovering after a very scary and serious snowplow injury. I was reading reports that people were saying, I don't know if you saw, I don't think they were true, but people were saying maybe he almost needed like his leg amputated and all this crazy stuff like that. It was a really serious injury. I don't know how true that is, but it was just something that I was seeing. But yeah, Jeremy Renner back at home recovering. Good news.
I remember seeing the photo that he posted, and he looked like he wasn't in good condition, and he didn't sound like it on the beginning.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's hard to know the extent of the injuries. But obviously in ICU, and he was in the hospital for quite a bit. We first reported this over 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So he's just now getting home. I'm just glad that he's home, and hopefully, nothing like this happens again.
Yeah, no, it's a one of those crazy but very serious injuries. I'm not even sure what exactly. I don't think there's any like story that says what exactly happened. That he was just involved with a snowplow, and I saw pictures of a snowplow. Maybe it was just for clickbait or whatnot. But I don't know if it's
he posts videos and pictures, I guess, on his stories and all that, on his property being kind of like in the middle of nowhere, and he does his own plowing and all that. And it was I do remember recalling seeing stories from like days prior, and it was very snowy. I'm terrified of driving on the snow, so I don't even know how some people live in areas like that, and how do you even try to get out in that?
It's difficult. Today feels like a snow day here.
It's 82 degrees here.
Oh, send it my way, please. Start blowing the air this way, please. 20. It was like 50 degrees this morning, and it went down to like 40. I think now it's like in the low 30s. I don't know what happened.
God, the weather there is so bipolar. So like you can get up and layer up, and then it's like 60 degrees outside. You go out light, and it's like 0 degrees out, and it goes from like that to like crazy in like a 5-minute thing. Like it's insane. I think it's like that everywhere though. I had that happen just here the other day. I'm like, okay, I look outside, it looks nice, get dressed to go to the gym, go to open my door, and it's pouring like hurricane rain. And I'm like, that you lived in Florida. I'm like, where did this come from? And I don't look at the weather anymore because I also feel it's so unreliable.
It is. No, it's I think yesterday around 8 a.m. it was like 29 degrees out, and then around 1 o'clock it was 54. I don't know how it can jump that high. It made no sense. But like what we talked about previously, like so many people are getting sick because of that, and it's a reoccurring cycle. It's freaking insane.
Especially in that area that you're in. I feel every time I talk to my friends in that area, they have some kind of flu, a cold, or they're testing for COVID thinking they got it again because of the symptoms that they're experiencing. It seems like it's been like this for a couple of months, and I really do blame the shifting weather.
Yeah, I felt like death from like Christmas up until right after New Year's. I don't know what I had, but like it was lingering. It would not go away. It was bad. In regards to Brittney Spears.
Oh, I have the tea.
Yes, I'm so glad you did. So glad you do, because I don't. I read the article and I was just, this is crazy. I saw the videos, and there was something that
oh my God. So TMZ reported, I'll take over on this one.
Do it.
TMZ puts out this headline, and I'm a big Brittney stan. I probably bring as many Brittney news as you bring Kardashian news. That's just what we do. And I do have a very clear understanding that Brittney's not necessarily okay. Doesn't mean she doesn't need to be happy. I don't think she's all there, right? I'm not gonna defend her for that. Right. But I read the headline, and it completely breaks my heart before I even open anything, because the headline says Brittney Spears has manic episode in restaurant, husband storms out.
Yeah.
And there's video, and I'm like, oh my God. So I don't even want to open it thinking I don't want to see Brittney like that. And then I opened the video, and it's literally people recording her and her trying to cover her face as she talks to the bodyguard and the waiter. That's it. There's no manic. There's no Brittney going crazy. There's no storming out. Later on, we find out from Sam, her husband, who I don't trust. I'm 50-50 on Sam, right?
Yeah.
But he said him and Brittney went into this restaurant. Everybody started invading their privacy. Yep. He stepped out to go get the car. There was no storming out. She wanted to go. So he went to get the car to pick her up in the front, left her there with the bodyguard. There was no manic episode. There was no freaking out. Husband didn't storm out and left her there. And this is
Oh
like one of
man.
those examples of fake news. And this is why some people have such a different point of view on Brittney Spears and she's crazy, keep her in the conservatorship. No, I will be upset if I'm going out to a restaurant for the first time in months. Last time we talked about it is because she hadn't been seen. We don't know if she's okay. There you go. That's why Brittney doesn't go out. That's why she goes to resorts and stays in places where food gets brought to her room and all that, because this is what happens.
Yep.
And because people know that she's not okay, they try to capture that moment. They try to get that
advantage of
moment.
it.
And it's just, I was very upset because I do go to TMC every week before we do this show because a lot of pop culture news will pop up there.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is like I don't want to sound like a conspiracist, but I feel like the media is just out to get her sometimes with the way they word these articles. And I see this interview by her husband later on where he was like, you guys are ridiculous. I was getting the car. I didn't storm out on my wife and left her behind at a restaurant. She was not having a manic episode. None of that happened. She just wanted privacy. And the most upsetting part about this whole thing is that the restaurant didn't stop all of their patrons from videotaping Brittney.
Yeah, someone in the restaurant should have done something.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, or moved into a private spot or whatnot. But this is like a reoccurring thing that we see in Hollywood. It happened with a lot of big time celebrities like Marilyn Monroe and other people of that stature, where the media capitalizes on something that, like for example, Brittney having mental health issues. The media just pounding that down to make it worse, to make a profit. And these things don't end well.
No.
They end very tragically. And from the way that this is being presented, like it's just going downhill. It doesn't look like this is it's a sad situation.
Yeah, it breaks my heart as a big fan of the Free Brittney movement. I followed it. I was here for it. And what a lot of people don't understand is that Brittney was being taken advantage of by her management team and her family. Brittney's still in a conservatorship. Brittney, like I said, I know she's not all there. There's still people managing a lot of the things that she does. But if you keep doing these things, you're setting her up for the people that took advantage of her to say, hey, look, we told you she's not okay. Let us handle this thing back, because the judge can reverse any decision right away. Like, free Brittney doesn't mean that Brittney's out there doing what she wants. She just has more control of her life. But this is gonna end up, like you said, in a situation where they put her back with her family. They were having her locked in mental hospitals, taking lithium and medications that she didn't need at the time because she didn't want to work. Like, it's insane. The whole story is crazy. And I just feel like the media is just out to get her. And it's sad because when Brittney first had all of her mental breakdowns, it was because of the media. It was because of paparazzi. And you will feel that now. She just turned, 41, 42 in December. Leave her a break. You've been harassing this woman since she was like 15 years old.
Yeah, they harass her even when she's not out in public. And now that she's attempting to get back to whatever a normal life is considered for her, they are savages. Not in a good way.
It's just not fair. And Brittney went on to post it and delete it on her Instagram, about how ridiculous that was. And I'm glad that her husband spoke out and said what really went down, because he didn't need to. If you watch the video, if you take the time to actually click on the article and watch the video, you will know that it was a false headline. But if you don't, you're walking around thinking, oh my God, Brittney's now going crazy in public. And that wasn't the case here. And it was very upsetting.
Yeah. And you know what? In regards to her husband, like, he's got nothing to lose because he's not in her position. He's just there. So for him just to kind of clear it up, they're not going after him. They're probably gonna turn it around and say that he's this and he's that and he's bad, and they're trying.
Do you trust him?
I know rarely anything about him. You have to. They brought
him in as the leading man in one of her music videos. That's how they met, and they've been together ever since. But I feel like he cares. A lot of times he gives the answers where I feel like people just want him to just have her all over his social media 24/7. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. He attends a lot of events on his own. And when he's asked about it, he always responds, she went to red carpets her entire life. I'm not going to force her to. And the questions that get asked, like, I'm sure it's a very rough situation for her to go out, because everybody's going to ask her, how are you? Are you okay? Are you sure? She doesn't need to hear any of this. So I feel very 50-50 on him, but I do think he legitimately cares and loves her. I do think
Yeah.
that.
Well, to really put yourself in that world and be around her the way that he is, I mean, you really do have to care about somebody, because that is, it's a lot, and
It is a lot.
not everybody would be up for that, even loving someone, you know. So
I love that you brought that up, because I recently watched a YouTube excellent documentary, but it was about people that are in relationships. The documentary covered people being in relationship with people with mental issues or addiction issues, things that are like beyond their control. People that ended up having to leave these relationships, not because they didn't love the person, but because it was taking a toll on them, trying to be there, or because they felt like enablers, because they cared too much. And it was just something that I just really appreciated, because you're absolutely right. There's no way you're going to be around this situation with somebody that you don't love or care about, because it is very, very challenging.
Yeah, and for those listening right now, we're not talking about Kevin Federline. We're talking about Brittney's recent husband. What's his name?
What is it? Sam. I can't pronounce his last name, but I know his name is Sam. But the thing of it is, Brittney also has we just talked about Lisa Marie Presley. She has an extensive love story. Like, you have Kevin Federline, the 55-hour marriage. You have Sam, and there's at least, I believe, 5 engagements outside of this. Like, Brittney's romantic life is quite interesting.
Hey, but Kevin Federline is the only one to beat John Cena.
Excellent point. But I also don't like the way that him and even the kids. And the kids speaking out is great, but I don't like how they kind of like turn their back on her, and you don't see her pose with the babies, which makes you wonder, are they letting her see them? Do they want to see her? Because again, they're young, and dealing with somebody in a compromised mental state can also be stressful for the kids. But it's also like, don't compromise her either. Like, she doesn't need any more people going against her, and I'm sure they get a very, very nice paycheck from her every month. So you're well taken care of.
You know what it is? Also, her entire family is like literally against her. So the children see this and they say, "Well, do we go with the majority or do we go with her?" They don't know any better, so it's a sad situation.
It is a sad situation, and it's just like, that was my first girl crush was Brittney Spears, and Brittney was everything to me. And it's just funny. Sometimes I text my childhood friends, and I'm like, I miss normal Brittney. I'm like, because I knew I was obsessed with her, and I just hate seeing everything that she's going through now. And I thought the Free Brittney movement was just gonna be able to give her a better, easier life, and it just seems like it's even worse for her now.
It just keeps getting harder for her, and it's just. And it's sad. And it's crazy to see like all the people that she came up with, like they're like living their lives. They're like left alone. Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, and
Justin Timberlake just recently apologized for the ways he handled that whole thing. Like maybe like a year ago.
Because everything came out. He wanted to cover his ass.
Yeah, I was like, you POS. And I love JT. I was an NSYNC girl. JT was my favorite. But I was like, you POS. Like, you dragged her, called her a cheater, made a crappy music video about her. And now you want to apologize? Like, her getting in that relationship is really one of the starts of the media going crazy over her. It was when her and JT got together.
She kind of went against the grain, and that's when they turned on her.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. A lot of people that came up. I think there's a few people that still really have her back. I know Paris Hilton is always like hanging out with her. They always comment on each other's stuff. So there's still a handful of people that try to be there, and I love that for her to have like some kind of support system, because I feel like rich, millionaire, super famous, it has to be lonely for her right now.
Yeah, but I mean, having Paris Hilton have your back, I mean, sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, me too.
If you want to see all our videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, click the subscribe button below. Otherwise, we'll start posting spoilers about your favorite new movies.